You've maybe learned to listen more, right? When your body was sending you some warning signals, you were ignoring them. Right?
I was not listening.
You could have done a better job kind of paying attention to what exactly is going on within you.
I think if I were me now, and me at 25, when I was like in the midst of all of this came to me, I think I could shave off 2.5 years. I asked Dr. McGill this because I had him on my podcast. I was like, do you think most people just are thinking on the wrong time frame when it comes to low back stuff? Because you have to do the right thing for long enough. And so I think what happened, and he said, he agreed that he thinks that happens. It's like, you do the right things for 6 weeks, but it's a process that takes 6 months. So you give up and then you try something else. And then, so you're like missing it. You're missing it due to the time scale.
Yeah.
But I think that most people are like, unfortunately, I think most clinicians are very, like they're limited by insurance and by people, the patient wanting results in 2 months. And it's like, look, I mean, I've had a lot of patients where I was like, this will get better, but I honestly think it's going to take a year. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to see you twice a week for a year. Let's not kid ourselves. It's going to do nothing for you, because how can I speed up the tissue healing time? You need to learn what to do and then do it for a long time. We'll check in, but I don't think that approach is taken very much. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's tough to have that long-term multi-year approach, of like coming to the realization that there are no quick fixes, no one magical single exercise or one magical single stretch that's going to make all the pain go away. That's just,
I think, like principles of rehab and strength training are the most important thing to understand.
Now, what would you say though? Like, of course, it's easy to say take the long-term approach, but then you have people who have jobs where their like living is dependent on, having a hard manual labor job where they have to kind of load their back in some way to earn a living. Is it just a matter of finding a way to take time off and having a different source of income, or what can you do for those people?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw that also. Like certain people, is like the demand, like they're climbing up trees and cutting branches, and it's like they have hip pain. Like, I think that's one of those. That's part of the art of being somebody who works with people in pain, is really understanding what somebody's doing in their job, and then using your understanding of the human body as best you can to find solutions to that. So one good example is this guy who he had back pain and he was a plumber. So, I mean, what do you, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but
that's fine.
Someone says, I'm a plumber, my back hurts. Like, what are your initial thoughts with that? I'm curious.
I'm a plumber, my back hurts. That's probably because you're bending over a whole bunch throughout the day.
Exactly.
So like
that's what I thought. But he was a commercial plumber. And commercial plumbers, as I learned, because I asked him, they work in the ceiling on a ladder. They work on the floor below. At least this guy, he worked on the floor below on a ladder overhead. So he was bending backwards too much. You see, it's like, this is part of like, I made the same assumption out. And then he told me that I was like, oh God, how important is it to be like, wait. So tell me what positions you're in when you're at work, so I understand. And he was like, well, I'm always overhead. I was like, you're a plumber. What are you talking about? You're overhead. So imagine if I just made that assumption and I was like, okay, well, you need to like do these back bends and no, he needed to flex more. He needed to like strengthen his abs and learn how to, stabilize his lumbars and bend through his hips or through his thoracic spine and distribute those joint ranges through other segments to, not have a higher stressed area.
So part of the job of being a healthcare provider is kind of being like a detective and figuring out what this person's doing.
It's the ultimate problem solving. And that's why you can't memorize stuff with the human body. People try to memorize. No, you need to understand it. Yeah. You need to understand how it works. You need to understand how physics and the emotional components, the psychological components, the physical components.
Thanks for checking out that video. I hope you liked it. Here are a couple more for you to check out. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel.